You're listening to the Dr. Gina Show. The propaganda machine. Did I just say propaganda? The non-propaganda, the improper propaganda machine is in full production right now in Hollywood. Robert Redford has a new film in theaters that glorifies the radical left's agenda. Shame on him. I kind of thought he might secretly be a conservative. I'm disappointed. Not gonna lie.
Why? Because you're a fan?
No, because he looks like one.
What does a conservative look like?
Robert Redford.
All right, then.
Yeah. Our go-to guy for what the left is up to in Hollywood is Newsmax Hollywood reporter and legal analyst James Hirsen. James, welcome to the Dr. Gina Show.
Hey, Dr. Gina, how are you? You know, he used to look like a conservative. He looks like a liberal now.
Yeah, I know, but not in my mind. In my mind.
Well, in your mind, you're still seeing him when he did The Natural, and he looked like a hero.
Right. Yes, I am. Thank you. I'm thinking of him like that, and I think that a lot of folks probably presume that he's just a normal, easygoing, good guy. But you're telling us not so much, at least after what he's done lately. Tell us.
No. The name of the movie is The Company You Keep, and it went into wide release, ironically, just after the Boston bombing. And the problem with the movie is it's adapted from a book of the same name by an author named Neil Gordon, who is a far-left guy and wrote a book really inspired by the Weather Underground. So it's the plot of the movie is about people today who used to be radicals in the 1960s, and the main characters are clearly inspired by Bill Ayers, Barack Obama's former associate,
oh, yes,
and Bernadine Dorn, Bill Ayers' wife for a time, and co-founders of the Weather Underground, also nicknamed the Weathermen. And I guess the important thing is the Weathermen have a lot in common with the Boston bombers. They engaged in almost the same activities and have almost the same justification. And Redford's film does a disservice because it doesn't properly portray them in the way they should be portrayed, which is as villains, which is as terrorists. And the character, as a matter of fact, and of course it has an all-star cast, including Redford stars in it. He directed, he produced it. But Susan Sarandon plays the Bernadine Dorn character, and there's one moment where she says, "We made mistakes, but we were right."
Oh,
talking about the Weather Underground, which, by the way, bombed the Pentagon, United States Capitol building, the NYPD headquarters, and 3 people that were members of the Weather Underground died attempting to assemble a nail bomb. Now, I don't know if they used pressure cookers, but that's exactly what went off in Boston was a nail bomb.
Yeah.
So this is really, and what's amazing is to see the way the film critics reacted to this thing, all being deluded children of the 60s, probably having flashbacks, because one in particular I quote in my article is Variety, which is called the Bible of Hollywood. If Hollywood had a Bible, this would be it. And what Variety said was that it was unabashedly heartfelt, meaning that it was so emotional, but a competent tribute to 1960s idealism. And Variety says there's something undeniably compelling, perhaps even romantic, about America's 60s radicals. These are people who targeted civilians with bombs. I think that's our current president's definition of terrorism.
Wow. So we're really not talking about even Republican versus Democrat sorts of ideas, conservative versus liberal sorts of ideas. We're really talking about glorifying terrorism. And yet they continue, and this is what I don't get, James, they continue to say that domestic terrorists are all on the right, right? I mean, if you use the word domestic terrorist, you're always talking about someone on the right side of politics, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there is no such thing, I guess, as the Unabomber. There's no such thing as the radical animal rights groups who blow up buildings. I mean, it's all on the right. Domestic terrorism, because we have the Southern Poverty Law Center and organizations like that who track such extremist groups like James Dobson's Focus on the Family.
Yeah.
They consider them a right-wing terrorist group. Yeah, and then also, though, there is a left-right aspect to this, and we see it manifested in the way the media has covered and the way leaders have portrayed the Boston bombers, these two guys, because the media is taking great pains to tell us, now we want to be careful about reporting this. We don't want anyone to jump to any conclusions, as they all jump to the conclusion that these two guys acted alone. And we see it over and over again. The mayor of Boston, the governor of Massachusetts, and so many people in the media have told us definitively, essentially, don't pay attention to that 6-month trip that the dead brother took to Russia. That was just a spring break.
Right.
Don't pay attention to the sophisticated detonation technology they used in the pressure cooker bomb. They came up with that all on their own.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as if we're idiots. I mean, and don't pay attention to the fact that Chechnya is a hotbed of radical Islam. Don't pay attention to that either. Oh, and don't pay attention to the fact that Russia warned the FBI twice about one of these kids. You know, it's just, it insults our intelligence and it insults our country, but it's a reflection of the same mindset we see in Redford's movie.
And so far, how is the movie doing?
Not so good.
Yeah.
You know, the problem, they tried to bring in the young people because they've got Shia LaBeouf to be in it. But, you know, young guys figure out, wait a second, there's no Transformers in this movie. You know, there's no bullets. There's no, you know, low-cut tops. I mean, so it's no good. I mean, you know, and it's all these kind of old 60s people. I mean, do we really want to watch this? So, no.
Trying to glorify themselves. I mean, really, that's what this comes down to, because they were, at least Susan Sarandon, I think of her as sort of the quintessential 60s hippie.
Oh, no question about it. Yeah, which Redford is, too, really.
Probably. I still don't want to believe it.
But the problem, you know, with the movie, well, it was never made to have big box office. You know, when you have, I mean, people like, it has low budget, but it drew people. I think they thought maybe it was Oscar bait because of the fact that, you know, Redford, you know, is coming back kind of out of retirement, going to come out of Sundance, and it's a somewhat sort of an independent style film. And Redford has a lot of connections in the indie world, obviously, because Sundance is the place for breaking independent movies. But, you know, when we mentioned Susan Sarandon, it's got Shia LaBeouf, it has Nick Nolte, Stanley Tucci, Julie Christie is in it, Anna Kendrick. It's just this massive cast of people. I'm sure they all did it for union scale, because they just wanted to be directed by great Robert Redford.
Oh, don't you know? So the movie's the company you keep. You're saying absolutely don't see it. This is what I don't get, and we don't have much time left, but I don't understand. You know, Hollywood continues to do this pandering, as you're mentioning, and yet the movies are almost never successful in these cases. And even when they put millions and millions of dollars into them, they're still not successful. And yet the movies that are successful are the movies that do have a basic underlying morality message that people can see with their families without having gratuitous F-bombs dropped every 2 minutes, or, you know, beating hearts splattering out of bodies, things like that. So I just don't understand why Hollywood, who should be so money driven and even ratings and Oscar driven, as you're saying, why they don't produce the movies that the public is demanding to see.
Well, there's almost like there's two Hollywoods. There's the Hollywood where they need to pay for the bills, and they produce family movies, just what you were talking about, take place in a moral universe, and they have the kind of plots we're familiar with from Greek tragedies and Shakespeare. But then there's this other Hollywood. They pat each other on the back. They give themselves rewards. I mean, look at the made-for HBO movies that come out, like Recount and Game Change. And they all win awards, and they stink. But they win awards because they basically confirm the political suspicions of the strange community of Hollywood. It's the social community making films for themselves.
Yeah,
and that's the other Hollywood. They don't care about the money. Mm-hmm. They really don't care. They want the awards. They want the peer awards and the critics to rave. I mean, Sean Penn has literally built his career on this sort of thing. You know,
Yeah.
he portrays Harvey Milk, wins an award, nobody goes to see the movie.
Right.
This is, and he did make a bad decision because he made that movie on the book that dealt with you know, Scooter Libby's indictment and the couple that was involved with that thing, and it bombed. And every once in a while they said, this one is going to be a bomb, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it getting some awards.
Well, so that's the bad movie. There are lots of bad movies. You got any good suggestions for folks going to the movies this weekend?
You know, the best movies are the animated movies. I haven't looked at the schedule, but honest to God, they're the
G-rated.
best writing.
Yeah.
They're the most, you know, so I think the Pixar movies and some of the others that compete with Pixar are the most fun. Especially if you have families, of course. But it's always good to check them beforehand because you can't trust PG anymore.
Oh, that's true. You really can't.
For the little ones.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, James, as they say, what starts on the left coast doesn't stay on the left coast, and so we do need to be aware of these things happening. This is a bad movie, says James Hirsen, and you can check out his column at docgtv.com. You can find him, also his website, jameshirsen, HIRSEN.com, and on Twitter at the Jim Jams. I like that. It's kind of a fun little Twitter handle you got going on there, James.
It's sort of soulful.
It is sort of soulful. It kind of makes me want to do a little Jim Jam, whatever that is. I don't really know what that is.
That's from my previous life when I used to be a musician.
That's right. Yes, you were with the Temptations?
That's right. Yeah,
Yes,
with their band.
Oh, good, Gina. I just somehow remember that all of a sudden. Anyway, awesome. Well, good. Well, we loved this Hollywood update.